The progressive revolution doesn't stop when the live show ends. Join the home of progressives and become a TYT member today. Click the link below.
Donald Trump is once again talking about his mistaken belief that he can end the constitutional right of birthright citizenship through an executive order. Here he is on with Axios talking about it.
Some legal scholars believe you can get rid of birthright citizenship without changing the Constitution.
With an executive order.
Exactly.
Right.
Have you thought about that?
Yes.
Tell me more.
It was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment.
Right.
Guess
14th
what?
Amendment.
You don't.
You don't.
Number one, you don't need that. Number two,
I mean, that's in dispute.
You could definitely
That's very much in dispute.
Well, you can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can do it just with an executive order. Now, how ridiculous. We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
Have you talked about that with counsel?
Yeah, I have.
So where in the process?
It's in the process. It'll happen. With an executive order. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
that's
it's
a very
exactly
interesting
what I'm talking
I didn't think anybody knew that but me. I thought I was the only one. Jonathan,
I've got
I'm
a good
impressed.
guess. Good guess.
Impressed.
It's such a weird video in a number of different ways. That ending, I have no idea what that was about. He's talked about it before, so I don't know what his surprise was. But there are a couple of points that we need to take a bit of an issue with. We are not the only country with birthright citizenship. We are surrounded by countries that have birthright citizenship. Depending on how you define it, well over 30, including basically every country in our hemisphere, including our neighbors in Mexico and Canada, let alone countries throughout Latin and South America. It is all over the place. All of the countries that he believes are sort of gaming the system by sending people, he thinks sending people in here to become citizens, they themselves have birthright citizenship. But first, the frustration that I have goes beyond just birthright citizenship, his approach to it. And we're gonna talk about that here. But the argument that he is making there, if it can be called an argument, is first thing, you don't need it. That is all the detail he gives. Some people are telling me you don't need it. He doesn't define it. We have no idea who is supposedly telling him that. Then he does the fallback, well, you obviously don't need it with legislation, but even with executive order, I think I can do it. Neither of those things are remotely true, as we'll get into more. I am curious though, to what extent, I mean, we're taking it seriously here because it's filled with falsehoods. To what extent is this simply another pre-election thing that he's doing?
Yeah, it's definitely a pre-election strategy, and I think it's a faulty one. And I don't mean that because I'm outraged by his statements, etc. I mean that I just, as a matter of political calculation. So his idea here is, and look, Latinos, he's in your face because he's saying, you guys don't vote, so I can antagonize you guys as much as I like. You have, historically low voting percentages, whereas my base hates you guys, and they do vote. So I'm gonna rile them up with every anti-immigrant, every anti-Latino thing that I could possibly think of, even things that are wildly unconstitutional like this proposal. Who cares? Because he's not really gonna do it anyway. Well, unless they keep the House and the Senate, and he's like, well, I promised it, so I'm gonna do it, right? So, but the purpose is to rile up his racist base. And I don't think that it's gonna work. I think that a lot of people are riled up against him, and that he's going to that well one too many times. But the one thing he's right about is Latinos don't vote nearly as much as other folks in this country do. And if I'm a Latino leader, I mean, that enrages me. I would want to sign up every Latino in the country and register them to get them to vote, because he's in your face, man. He keeps slapping you around. You gonna do something about it politically or not?
Yeah, a lot of us assimilate and then don't think he's talking about us anymore. So this to me is his wall for 2018, right? The wall was this, so this is the wall for this election. Is it Donald Trump the child of people who were not born in the United States?
So his dad was of German origin. I don't remember exactly when his family came over. I do know that his dad pretended to be Swedish for a long time.
But I don't think they were born here. I think
is
I don't
German
know for
not
sure.
white enough that he had to pretend to be Swedish? But no, I know why, because
There's some other historic reasons.
right,
Well,
right. It was around World War II, that's why. But
oh yeah, the anti. But you know what I just think I'm so tired of Donald Trump. I just want to talk to the people who actually follow him. Like, I think that at some point we got to have a sit down and talk to the people who follow him. Put your hate down for 1 minute and just think about all of the stuff that he's promised. Listen to what he's saying. Barack Obama used to say, I once read, I learned in law school this. He says, people are telling me. That's the language of the President of the United States. Hearsay is what's coming from the White House. That sounds like a blog entry. It sounds like a Facebook post. It sounds like something a Kardashian would say. The President of the United States is saying, they keep telling me, they said, like you said, it's just, that should concern you, because and then the other thing is that my argument is always, every time we talk about immigration, we're talking about brown people because nobody else comes here from anywhere else. So he is directly talking to the people who hate us and we're not voting. But what about the people who are not us, who are, his wife barely speaks English. And we are sitting here letting this man tell us, everybody else who's not an immigrant, isn't Melania one of the people who has received the chain migration?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's you guys, it's us guys, and we have to remember to think collectively, because we will all lose when we don't.
Yeah.
It's just so frustrating.
Yeah, sorry, just a couple of things there based on what you just said. First of all, let's just establish facts. No question, Melania's parents came through chain migration because of Melania, okay? So if they're gonna get rid of chain migration, Melania's parents should be the first one kicked out of the country. No joke, well, it's not my idea, I hate the idea, I think it's a terrible idea. I believe in legal immigration, that's what family-based immigration is, legal immigration. But if you're gonna say you're gonna kick him out, hey, you first. Round them up, round up Melania's parents, put them on a goddamn boat and send them away, okay? Because that's your idea. Why don't you go first? They always say with liberals, like, oh, you guys like higher taxes, why don't you go first? All right, why don't you go first? Kick out Melania's parents right now, do it today. Do it today, what's the matter with you, okay? Apparently you don't believe it, you're a hypocrite. I don't know if Melania was born, was already a citizen or not when Barron was born. I don't know if that makes him an anchor baby. I know she came here illegally, she came legally, but then she worked here when she did not have a work permit. And that's an illegal immigrant. Absolutely. So, I got an idea. Put Melania on the same goddamn boat as her parents and send her the hell back. Hey, listen, I'm not the one fighting against legal immigration, you guys are, right? And so let's be clear about birthright citizenship. So that is perfectly legal and constitutional, and it's as clear as day, and everybody except Trump knows it, and the they that he talks to, whoever the hell they are. Okay, so now already by getting rid of family-based immigration, these are their proposals, Trump's proposals, and the Republican Party largely agrees, and getting rid of the visa lottery and so many other visas they have already proposed to end. They were already going to end 85% of legal migration. Now on top of that, they put in birthright citizenship. So for the rest of the press, let's be super duper clear, okay? Because you guys are really bad at this. So you always call it 50-50 and you always just repeat Republican talking points as if they're real. So the Republicans say, no, we're for rule of law. We're not against immigrants, we're for rule of law. Well, that's not remotely true. You're against immigrants. You want to, according to Trump's proposal, already you want to block 85% of legal immigrants here. Now you want to block people who were born in the country. So just call it what it is. They're against all immigrants. They are, it's a fact. It's a fact. Yeah. And why are they against immigrants? The overwhelming majority of immigrants are not white at this point in American history, and that is why they're against them. Now you can say, all right, well, it is a fact that Republicans hate immigrants. That's a fact. I'm not sure it's a fact that it's because they're racist. Well, I think they are, and I think the evidence overwhelmingly proves that. But hey, I'll cut the mainstream press a little bit of slack, and you could just say the first part. You don't have to add the second part, even though it's obvious. Am I not merciful?
Yeah, and I mean, depending on how they do it, it's not impossible that were they to actually do this, they would end up stripping the citizenship from literally millions of Americans. And it's one thing to say, and we know that that this sort of policy, they think about it in electoral terms of the future. They want to do this because they're scared about demographic change in this country. That's one argument you can make, but attempting to do something to strip a significant percentage of Americans' ability to vote, which of course they're doing in these elections, that is obviously an electoral strategy in the near term as well. So whether he ends up doing it, it's one thing to say, as we are saying, that he can't actually do it. You can't do an executive order that takes away a constitutionally protected right, but he can do what he wants to do unless someone stops him. And will the Senate stop him? Will the House stop him? Will the Supreme Court stop him? At the end of the day, if they control all of that, then theoretically, our ideas of what is possible and what is legal might have to change. That is one of the worries that I develop when you allow a fascist like Donald Trump to take over. That's why we opposed him in the first place.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. That you said that about Barron, and Barron's mother is from another country, and Donald Trump is American, just like me. My father is from the Dominican Republic, which is a third world country, and my mom is from Puerto Rico, which makes her a United States citizen. But what's the difference between me and Barron is that he's a white man in America, and I'm brown. And they hate us, and you're right. And I like when Angry Cenk shows up, because he tells it like it is. We feel it, and nobody's speaking up for us. So you Cubans who think that political asylum is granted to you forever, just know that when they're done with us, they're coming for you next.
Now, in terms of what other right-wingers are saying after this news broke again, Paul Ryan said, well, obviously you cannot do that. You cannot end birthright citizenship with an executive order. Justin Amash says the president cannot amend constitution or laws via executive order. Concept of natural born citizen in 14th Amendment derives from natural born subject in Britain. Phrase and subject to the jurisdiction thereof excludes mainly foreign diplomats who are not subject to US laws. And even a lawyer writing for the National Review says a proper originalist interpretation of the US Constitution as presently written guarantees American citizenship to those born within our borders with only a few limited exceptions. Similar to what Justin Amash had said. That doesn't mean that he's not going to attempt to make this into an election issue, and it doesn't mean that some people like Steve King or Lindsey Graham, who says he is going to put forward legislation to accomplish this in the Senate, don't believe that you can do it regardless of all of this information.
Yeah, I thought that Republicans claimed and conservatives claimed that they were strict constructionists and originalists. And all of a sudden, when the words are inconvenient, and by the way, they do this all the time, same thing with the Second Amendment. It says, for a well-regulated militia, they're like, yeah, don't worry about the words. The words are irrelevant. I like my guns, and I don't mind people using them to murder others. I don't care. I just want my hobby. It's a fun hobby. Words are not important. So here, the words are exceedingly clear. We just read them to you. Every constitutional scholar knows it. There's good precedent from the Supreme Court on it. And now conservatives, some of them are going, yeah, don't care. I never cared about strict, everything that the Republicans ever told you is a lie. They don't care about deficits. They don't care about strict construction of the Constitution, and I can go on and on. So now, to be fair, there are some people who are principled that John read you because we are fair. We show you all the perspectives. So I want to give Justin Amash credit. He's a guy that I disagree with probably more than the average Republican because he is so extreme in certain situations, but from time to time he's principled. So I'll give him that. And then on the political side, Ryan Costello, another Republican congressman, said it's wrong. On top of that, he said it is political malpractice. So that goes to the first point we're discussing, which is this smart politics? Well, first of all, it's Donald Trump. Smart next to his name is a near impossibility, right? Which I'll get to in the last part here. But what Costello pointed out is, look, we were already having trouble in winning. There is a blue wave coming. You could say there's a red wave, but it doesn't make it true. Now, his tweet is a little bit more condensed, but basically he's saying we were already having a lot of trouble with Republicans in suburban districts, and these districts were about to lose. And now there's a bunch of districts that have a ton of Latino voters, and you just slapped them across the face. How stupid are you? Yeah. You just made our job so much harder. Because it goes district by district. Look, I think that the anti-Latino, anti-immigrant talk also energizes other voters who are not Latinos. Because progressives, unlike conservatives, care about other people. Right. So when you attack Latinos, you attack me. I care about that, right? I know conservatives are like, hey, it's just about me, and if it didn't happen to me, I don't give a damn, right? I know that, right? But that's not how the rest of the country is. So it motivates them, but particularly in areas that have high Latino populations, man, you just ended a whole bunch of Republican careers. So thank you, Donald Trump, for the moron that you are, backed up by other idiots and racists like Lindsey Graham. So the weird thing about Lindsey Graham, the thing that sticks out at me is when he said, like when he was on Fox and he accidentally said, or maybe on purpose said, how terrible it would have been if he was born Persian. Now, there's not a lot of Persians in the country, so there wasn't a big uproar over that. But I thought, man, how interestingly deeply racist that is.
Absolutely.
Like he just says it because if there is only a small percentage in the country, we largely ignore it. Muslims, there aren't a lot of Muslims. You can hate Muslims all you like, and you don't get much flack for it on TV, right? Persians, there's even less Persians, that's a subset, right? So who cares? No, the guy said it would be terrible to be born like you if you're Persian. What a monstrous thing to say. And now, of course, he also hates Latinos and says, I always wanted to end their birthright citizenship. Congratulations, Lindsay, you have a new boyfriend now. I know you were looking for one and you got one now. And so go get him, support him all that you can. Oh, Lindsay's got a new guy. Donald's right about everything. Lindsay, I've seen that act 1,000 times. You're one of the most pathetic people I've ever seen in politics. And finally, conservatives, are you not embarrassed about anything? So no, forget the hate. I know you're not embarrassed by the hate. You revel in it. That's why you vote for Donald Trump. You enthusiastically voted for Donald Trump. No, I'm talking about how stupid he is. Who says on national television, there's no other country that does this? When there's 33 other countries that do it, you didn't even bother looking it up. Why? Because you're a pathetic child who doesn't like to do his homework. At some point, aren't you gonna say, I'm so tired of him being constantly wrong? But apparently not, because maybe and probably you're just as dumb as he is. Thanks for watching this free clip of the Young Turks. Don't forget to become a TYT member today. For more exclusive content, join now at tyt.com/join.